Sam, Alex, and Andrew are the biggest players on Skool, and they have the power to influence the whole platform, which is why understanding them helps us understand how Skool works. So in this video, I want to show you what kind of quests they completed to level up, and each quest is like an achievement that gave them experience points, and it allows us to see how far someone has already gone along their journey. And we're going to really dive deep into each of these stories and starting with Sam. So Sam here has quite the few quests. But before we go into that, I just wanted to show you how the setup is laid out. So here we have the level, like his rank. So for example, he does have the star being discovery. He's a wizard, which means that he's like more of a builder, someone who's working behind the scenes, and ultimately he's the CEO of Skool. But that's not how he started, because he started with Snap Inspect, which was a startup that he sold back in 2013, which allowed him to fund consulting.com, which he was running for 13K. And in the end, he was actually making 30 million per year, which is crazy to think about, with over 10,000 paying clients. But during this time, especially towards the end, he felt like kind of burned out. So somewhat in the middle of that, or at the end in 2019, he decided to launch Skool and go all in on this community platform. So here we can break this up and look a little bit more closely on what this actually looks like. So in the beginning, it was just the seed, just planting that. This was a year. And then for 2 years, he was just running a private beta where only a few members were allowed to join until he was ready to do a public launch back in 2020. And then around 23, he really started to get some momentum. And after that, Alex Hermosi joined the Skool games, or helped with the Skool games along with Andrew Kirby. So this is where the paths kind of interconnect. And now Sam and Andrew are just playing the long game. And I just want to share a few quick aspects about Skool. The thing that sparked it originally was an alternative to Facebook groups. I think the long game is something that also worth checking out because the idea is to just shape the future of learning as a multiplayer online game, which I'm an absolute huge fan of, and probably the reason why I'm on Skool and why we are also doing this. And I'm thinking it's like, oh, like what's the progress, what's the level of people that goes beyond just like the regular Skool level, because as you can see, all of these quests can be like super individualized. And if you want to have a similar profile like this, you can actually check out My Community, the game, where you can get a similar profile like this, and you can set up your own quest to just get an overview on what it looks like and what you're currently working on. Because it's not just a great way to look back, but you can also plan the future with this. So now we're going to have a look at Alex. And in Alex's case, he has a higher level, which is mostly due to the fact that Alex is just an absolute beast and he doesn't know when it's time to stop working. I honestly don't think he knows. And this is kind of his journey. So he escaped the job world back in 2011. So he started consulting, and then he wanted to leave the 9 to 5, quit his job, and start gyms by actually borrowing money. And he started doing this around 2013 to 2016. In 2016, Layla actually joined him. And the objective again was to like leave the corporate job behind and scale the brick and mortar gyms. So he opened his first gym in 2013, and he was sleeping on the gym floor after a failed partnership. So this is one of the stories that he keeps telling. But then he learned the direct response marketing and secured initial customers, which led to 6 profitable gyms, which is pretty sweet, in a matter of 3 years. And then after he met Leda, so they got married around in 2017. So this is like a different quest, which is more on the relationship area, not as much on the impact. But with the help of Layla, he was able to license his empire, so his gym licensing empire. And again, the objective was to transition from just owning gyms to actually helping other people make their gyms more profitable and like do this big launch through this licensing model. So the outcome was that he actually grew to 32 gyms and made 46 million profit and ended up selling for I actually don't know. I feel like I've heard like half a billion, but maybe this is just like a random number that I'm pulling out of nowhere. But like for a really good profit. So this was his exit. And then with that, he started Prestige Labs, which you actually see, and this is what I quite like here. This was his time where he's like, I'm running like multiple businesses and this is stressful as fuck. So he had Prestige Labs in 2018. So he wanted to diversify into the nutritional supplements, and he actually co-founded that in 2018. He reached 1.7 million in monthly sales within the first 6 months, which is crazy. And it's still part of his portfolio company at this point. And similarly, Alan, his lead automation software, is a SaaS product which leverages artificial lead automation and nurture to automate follow-ups and increase like the lead generation, specifically in gyms. So that's why things are kind of connected. And he had like a 1.9x in like more leads that showed up compared to like the other methods, and also skyrocketed to 1.4 million in monthly revenue within 6 months. And it's another one of his portfolio companies. So this is kind of like his background, which like he wasn't like he was telling about, but he wasn't really active, because he started really being active around the foundation of acquisition.com, which was back in 21. And here we can break this and see also when he started writing the 100 million offers back in like 2019, as well as 100 million leads, and then the 100 million money models. So for both leads and offers, he roughly took 2 years, while money models, it was just a little bit more than 1 year. So I guess he does get faster at writing these books. So maybe we have another book in like a year or two, which would be interesting. And to just go a little bit in here, the objective was to just reinvest the business from acquisition.com and invest into other companies and help them scale beyond just the fitness industry. So that helped him, like the 100 million offers and leads and money models aspect helped a lot with that, which ultimately has the goal to get 1 billion in enterprise revenue. So all of this is still somewhat ongoing. I kind of just set the quest for 25 because this way he gets a lot of experience points. So if I were to take this away, he actually loses 2 levels, which we don't want. So and then he helped with the Skool games. And specifically in there, he also ran the 100 along with Andrew Kirby and a bunch of other people, like 100 other people, because that's why it was called the 100. And that's how he got into Skool, because he used to say in his content, I have nothing to sell you, because he just wanted to prepare people to get to the point where you're making like a few million in revenue over the year, and then he can help you scale. And I think Skool was one of his ways where it's like, okay, let me create my future customers by having this platform, this playing ground, this gamified way where you can learn about business, where you can learn how to attract leads and convert these leads and deliver results in a safe way where you can practice to actually scale to 1 million, and then actually getting his help with acquisition.com. So considering that he is also extremely passionate about education and really values that, I think that's why it's kind of a match made in heaven. And that moves us over to Andrew Kirby. So um, Andrew Kirby here is the community lead at Skool. He is more focused on like marketing, or at least he has been doing that in the past, growing his YouTube channel to more than 500,000 followers. and his quests are a little bit more relatable. So if we look at Sam and Alex, they're like huge people who are way beyond in their business journey. I think it's important to still check out like what they have done in the past and how long something takes, where it's like, well, sometimes you just have to invest 7 years into this business and you actually make a lot of money out of that. Or like Alex, he also had like 6 years working on Alan and 7 years on working on Prestige Labs and really playing the long game. So it's also nice to see Andrew Kirby in the mix, who is compared to at least those two still getting started. And I think we can look at Andrew and really try to model his path, because he started to escape the default when he was like still in college, and then was like, hey, actually, this whole college side of things, like the education that I'm getting at university is inferior to the education that I'm getting on YouTube. And that's why he started his own YouTube channel, focused around Stoicism, and later branching out into time theory, which was more on productivity, which actually allowed him to scale to 100K per month, signing someone like Mr. Beast, reaching over 500,000 subscribers. And then back in 2020, he was like, okay, like I'm done with everything. I need a break. I need to really figure out what I want to do. And then he retired in Thailand to just live on passive income and started traveling the world. Around 21, he was just thinking about like, what's my purpose? Like, what's beyond just money? So, and that's where he launched Synthesizer, which is the first free Skool community. And he actually helped people like Ryan Doris and Hamza and like others scale their audiences and their revenue. And he found meaning by helping other people achieve the thing that he has done in the past, which is the whole aspect of the synthesizer freedom model. So he also started again the Skool games with Alex Hermosi, and he co-hosted the 100. And he had the whole synthesizer movement back in 21. So we can look in that in a little bit more in depth, because now we gain some more resolution. So the community started back in 21, and he ran this himself until like last year in 24. Around that time, Aiden took over as the host, and they created the synthesizer roadmap in a matter of like 3 months. And then we launched synthesizer scaling. So this is where I come into the play, which is quite interesting, along with Matt Rice. So we did this for around 3 months until we had the synthesizer scaling model, which is still ongoing. So we cannot actually check this off. Because this goes until the basically Christmas this year. And that's the synthesizer movement. And actually, let's move this to the end of the year as well. So we have a bigger scope on that. And then he's like also playing the long game with Sam. So this is essentially his whole journey. And now let's take a look on like how all these journeys kind of like compare with one another. So as we can see, um we have them all together, and it really isn't that many things. If you consider this started in 20, this is just a journey of 10 years where Alex was like, okay, I'm like quitting my corporate job, to today. It's a span of 10 years. If we look at Andrew's journey, it's not even 10 years, it's just 5 years, where he quit university and started his whole YouTube channel and the synthesizer community. And if we look at Sam, it's actually a little bit longer. Okay, so both Alex and Sam both started in 2013, which is interesting. I think they're basically the same age, maybe like 1 year between them. Um, so I think what we can take away from this is really about playing the long game. And sometimes we just need to invest 5, 10 years into something to really make it worthwhile. And this is just something that I wanted to show and to document their journey, which I think helps us really think about like, where is Skool going from here on? Because there's so much experience in all of these, and everyone has a deep passion to just bring education to the next level. And I think this is why school will ultimately win because we are in like the best hands here and we are getting guidance and support from all three. They all, again, massively influence the platform, the culture. They're listening to the users. Um, they actually all have their own communities being in the top discovery. So they all have their stars. And I think this is ultimately why School will be here for a long, long time because they have been playing this game for 10 years already. And they're really locked in on how can we make education the best thing possible? How can we bring community to 1 billion people? How can we like help educational creators like get paid to change the world? And how can we share all of the knowledge that we have learned in a playbook so other people don't have to make the same mistakes that we did? And I think ultimately this is what we all want to strive towards, to just document our journey and then help the next generation make fewer mistakes.